What is going on, all my friends in film fandom, wherever you are and however you may be listening? Thank you once again for joining us and giving us just a few minutes of your time. And we're back once again, and I know you got to see my face for a third time in a row, but I'm sure nobody's complaining. Hopefully. But, hey, it's getting us subscribers, so I don't know what happened between Thursday and today, but we are now at 732. So thank you guys for sticking around for all the madness and all the dumb things we do here. But would not be complete if I didn't have two of the best co-hosts here to talk with me about one of the greatest movies that come out of the 80s, if not just, of all time, with John Carpenter's They Live. Frank is somewhere. He's in timeout right now because I have my hand on the wheel. But he's down there somewhere in limbo, so maybe take the glasses off, put them back on, we might find him again. But the two people that are here are, of course, the Dowager Countess, Lady Cora. And how are you doing this evening?
I'm good, and I love that you opened the show with the sentence that had the 80s and great both in it, coming from you, Mr. 90s. So that was good. Frank gives you shit for saying you don't like the 80s, and you're just proving him wrong.
No, and he missed it. Well, he gets one. I mean, it's not like, look, real recognizes real. I know that there's a reason why this movie is so great, and the reason it stood the test of time, which I'm sure we'll get into. And somebody else who decided to, their brother decided to draw me with the shades is this shape from the Lone Star State. That would be Tex. So how are you doing tonight?
Jeremy, I'm seeing you with different eyes now. I don't know if you know this or not, but these are the Reptovisor 3000s. They're kind of an upgraded model from that they got in this movie. I didn't know you were playing for the reptilian team, brother. Wow, that skin suit you're rocking, that's pretty gnarly over there. Yeah, that's crazy.
See, the thing is, that sounds like something one of those aliens would say. So,
I believe you. Well, if you can't see my alien suit and I can't see your, which one? This is kind of like the thing here. Which one of us is the creature? I mean,
we're at an
it could be either. Well, I mean, what are we gonna do?
For all those Doctor Who fans out there, if you really want to break someone's mind, what if a silence and a weeping angel looked at each other? Because one's gonna forget, and if you blink, one's gonna kill you. But that's not the loop. That might have the universe implode. But anyway, like I said, we're here talking about the movie They Live, and I just went right past my notes. There we go. They Live is a 1988 American science fiction action horror film. You didn't put a space there. Film written and directed by John Carpenter, based on the 1963 short story 8 O'Clock in the Morning by Ray Nelson. Starring Roddy Piper, Keith David, and Meg Foster, the film follows a drifter who discovers through a special pair of sunglasses that the ruling class are in fact aliens, concealing their appearance and manipulating people into consume, breed, and conform to the, quote, status quo of via subliminal messages in mass media. Having acquired the film rights to the Nelson-penned short story prior to the production of They Live, Carpenter used the story as a basis for the screenplay structure, which he wrote under the pseudonym Frank Armitage, however you want to say it. Carpenter stated that the themes in They Live stemmed from his dissatisfaction with the economic policies of the then U.S. President Ronald Reagan, as well as what Carpenter saw in increasing commercialization both in popular culture and politics. They Live was theatrically released in North America on November 4th, 1988, and debuted at number 1 at the box office, grossing $4.8 million. That ain't peanuts, holy crap. During its opening weekend, earning a total of $13.4 million against a reported budget of just over $3 million. That's not a bad day's work. On the review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, the film has an approval rating of 86% based on 73 reviews and an average rating of 7.3 out of 10. The website's critical consensus reads, a politically subversive blend of horror and sci-fi, They Live is an underrated genre film from John Carpenter. Yeah. I don't... Oh, yeah, look at that. We're ready. I think my mom's got the right idea. You You might want a pair of sunglasses, to be honest.
Pretend that you're going to a ZZ Top concert. Everybody has to have on sunglasses. That's the rule.
Yeah. Yeah, it might help because you may never know. Could be your next door neighbor. Could be somebody you work with, somebody higher up in the office. You don't know. So I know this. Like I said, I know Frank was not here to hear it, and I think Cora pointed it out. I mean, I know I am always in love with anything from the 90s, but I'm only defending it because Frank won't let it go. But it's not recognized real. This is an amazing movie, one of my favorites. I find myself watching over and over, and I never cease to be entertained by it. I'm sure Tex has seen this. Cora, I think you said you were trying to watch at least.
Well, I was working on it. Life happened, but I'm here to talk about it with you, even though I haven't seen it and learned all about it.
Well, okay, good, because I could probably talk for another 5 hours about this movie. God, I need to get Google out of here. I was trying to find pictures. So I guess the first thing on the rundown really is, these damn. Let me put that over here. That's these damn aliens, man. I'm telling you. First rundown is source material. Really just it's the short story. I think it's not really like a graphic novel. I mean, kind of like a little comic strip almost, called 8 o'clock in the morning. Have either of you seen that? Cora, have you heard about that? Or read it?
No, but it sounds like a cool title that makes me want to read it.
It's a short read. It's not. I mean, there's the kernel of your idea. Tex, what about you? Have you seen or read 8 o'clock in the morning?
I did years ago. Somebody's talking to us.
Somebody.
It's all good. I like dogs. Yeah, I did years ago, but it you can kind of contest to this. It's once you consume so much like media over the years, like some of the old stuff kind of fades away. It kind of fades away.
I love this.
You could call this this could very well be like an episode of The Twilight Zone or something.
Oh, for sure.
This premise and the way that it is, and you could this film is an 80s action movie with the effects and the looks of a 50s sci-fi film. To call this a horror film, I don't think this is a horror film.
But if you came across this guy right here, that's kind of jarring. That's a little
I'm not saying it's not jarring, but
called like a thriller, not just horror.
I would say sci-fi thriller more than horror. I mean, to me, that's not being classified right, but that's a nitpick, whatever. But no, this is it's a very simple premise, but it works because yes, this movie was based on the Reaganomics, the greed is good era, the kind of a corrupt version of capitalism, if you want to call it that, of the 80s, of a time of excess, which depending on your political viewpoint, look at it how you will. But what's so beautiful about this movie is it can fit with any political regime that may happen to be in power. If you look at later interviews that John Carpenter did about this movie, he said, whenever I made this movie, it was about the right-leaning politics. But whenever you look at what's going on the left side of the argument, it's really no different. That's what's so fun about this. And this is political satire done properly. It doesn't alienate one group, one race, one nationality, one sex. It goes after the overlords that are after all of us at the end of the day. We live in a paradigm of left versus right, this versus that, when in reality, they're screwing all of us. We're not one of them. We're not they. We're cattle to these, mongoloids up there. So, a movie like this it's so simple, but it's creative at the same time because this movie's very 80s. I mean, the look and the feel and everything, but it's timeless. And that's what's so genius about this.
I guess, again, I can't really ask Cora, because you didn't see all of it, but that's I can't really say anything else about it that he didn't already say, because
I will say the haircuts are fantastic. I love the mullet.
Oh yeah, like if I can get, I can't hide it, but I was gonna say, if you see Roddy Piper right there in the center, I'm like, that's what I classify now as like a classy mullet. Like that's.
And I'm a wrestling fan, so the fact that this was like one of the first movies back in the day, because now it's pretty commonplace for wrestlers to do movies, but this is pretty cool. You know.
Yeah, I mean, how cool do you get, Roddy Piper as your main hero? I mean, and also it's not like Keith David isn't like a name that's been around, since forever. I mean, he's still out there kicking. That's what's kind of cool about it. It's like wrestling is kind of just an act. It's just, it's a show you're putting on. So I mean, it's a seamless transition into doing movies.
I agree.
Especially a movie like this, like Texas. I was gonna say, like, this has got like everything you could ever ask for. Even if you didn't say it was an 80s movie, I'm like, you got you got like action, you got guns, you got a 6-minute fight, which is the best part of the entire movie ever. That's the thing that everyone remembers, other than the fact that there are aliens everywhere. So you got like the sci-fi aspect, the kind of horror. I kind of see it because, again, where's another? I had a good picture. Yeah, if a whole store full of these fuckers came at you like that, just turned at you at once, and they were all talking on their little, which I guess we could call it now, would be like little iPhone watches, basically. Yeah, that's horrifying right there, to be running into that in the street. Yeah, man, there's so much packed into this movie. That's what makes it such a fun ride. It's never a dull moment. Like I went to a Comic-Con, and I think bought a shirt or something similar to this one, and this older gentleman running the stand was, me and him were going back and forth about this movie, and he was talking about it. He saw it back in the day. He's like, what's so great? He's like, that movie is still relevant. It doesn't matter. This thing, still makes sense. You can watch this today and still be like, oh my God, like nothing changed in the last 40 damn years. Yeah, that's what makes it so entertaining. Yeah. Hell,
if anything, it's gotten worse. Look at obviously, can we live? Obviously, I'm a capitalist.
They live.
No shit. I think everybody here is, but there's a good version of capitalism, and then there's a very much messed up version, which some political parties like to practice. But what's so relevant about this is, like I just said a minute ago, you can plug this in any. This is like, okay, you've read The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller, the comic book, Batman, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, that was also based off of Reagan. Hell, the president looks like Reagan in that comic book. But I compared that with this because those are two pieces of art that are so brilliantly done. Any political party that's in charge abusing their power, which, let's be honest, all of them do. Oh, yeah. It fits. It works against it. It's like War Pigs from Black Sabbath. It's another piece that's like that. It's on a very similar plane. And it's not alienating, any specific group. It's the common folk. Look at John Nada in this movie. He's not a middle class guy. He didn't even have a place to live. He had to leave his family behind in Detroit to go to LA to find work. There's, he's not well off. He's bottom of the barrel here. So, the political satire with this works, and it's smartly done. It doesn't beat you over the head, and it doesn't preach to you. It just shows you in a cataclysmic kind of world, which we're all very much living in. So, it's one of those things.
I'm tapping, sorry.
Oh, you're good. No, it's all
so do you
good.
think that the arguments in this, so do you think if this was made today, it would have a similar effect based on what John Carpenter said he wrote it about? Like if someone were to, if this was redone today, would it be equally relevant?
I'm sure we'll touch on a remake later on. We might want to save that.
That's the bullet point right before trivia. No, because I've gotten my head bit off a few times about a remake, and I'm like, just hear me out, please. Just hear me out for a quick second when I say.
I hear what you're saying about it, and a lot of
prepare yourself
that way today. So
whenever you tell me how a remake's needed, I'll probably bite it off again. So be prepared. So.
No, I'm not saying it doesn't. Yeah, I was gonna say something about that's cool about a weird. I'm gonna broaden this out a little bit more and say like a weird facet of life is that like you have friends and you have friends like even across the aisle. Like even on this panel here, I'm like some of us are not even really in the same political side of the room.
Spectrum.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm like, but at the end of the day, I mean, we break each other's balls sometimes, but we all still get along, and we can still being like an adult. You can just kind of be like, okay, well, we have different views, and that doesn't, you say what you think, and I believe what I believe over here. I think anybody could watch this movie and still, again, you could still look at it and be like, shit, I can relate to that, or like, oh, I understand that. That's still like we all understand this.
And that's the sign of good art.
Yeah, because you can make these aliens. You could place like we know who that is, so we give that we give these things like not a name, but like we give them a face and like a something. You know what I mean? Like that's how you turn it into like, oh yeah, this is the whole joke that these are reptile people that are really running this country. I'm like, it's movies like this that give you.
Don't say the Queen tech. I know it's there.
Hey, she's already gone. Don't. We're not.
Well, you did see that photo that they painted for Prince Charles with the devil in the background, right? You did see that, I'm sure. Just saying.
Shit.
I mean, hiding in what does this movie teach us? But hiding in plain sight. Come on now. It's all good.
I went from political to religious really fast, but that seems to happen.
Well, no, it's not that. Well, that's what I was going to say is, there's two things about the argument you just made. The sign of a good piece of art with political satire is if it's versatile to be put on whatever your perspective is and have it still be good and have it still have a worthwhile argument. Yeah. That's the first thing. But when it comes to like us here, like y'all were saying on the political spectrum, we're all, on some different degree and variety. But guess what? That's real life. We're still friends. We still talk. We still hang out. We don't let the politics divide us like some people do in this nation, where if you're this, I won't speak to you. And that goes for both sides. That shows a sign of a mature person who can see past the bullshit. But two, it shows you have enough chromosomes and brain cells to realize what's going on in this world and call bullshit out equally. You know what I
mean? Like other people exist in this world.
Right.
I guess I'm trying to segue every time, and you guys keep handing it to me. Speaking of good art, the next thing is cast. I mean, like we were just talking, that is not. I'm messing up all my tabs. God damn it. Who we got? There we go. So I mean, let's talk about the cast. Like you got Roddy Piper here and Keith David. I mean, first of all, I wouldn't have landed on like let's have a professional wrestler, and I mean hell at this time, but I'm like if you think of it now, Keith David has been around and done a lot of damn stuff. So
dude, he's been in fucking everything.
I'm like he's got marks across the board, and I would never say no. Yeah, I mean it's one of those things that weirdly it for some reason works. I keep wanting to say, what do you guys think of the cast? I'm really just talking to text here, but I mean, Corey, do you have any thoughts on Roddy Piper or Keith David?
I look back and I really want to watch this. I already plan on watching it later tonight, anyways. But Roddy Piper was
Piper's only done 2 movies.
And he was a fantastic character in wrestling, so I can imagine he would do well at doing something like this. So. 100%.
Like I said, there's about 6 minutes in this movie that I think you're going to understand why he was in it. Yeah.
Well, the reason for that 6 minutes is because John Carpenter needed to pad out the runtime.
I was going to say, that's just a pad out.
And he wanted to Carpenter wanted a John Wayne-esque style fight, like an epic fight that just drug out forever, and that's the reasoning for that. But yeah, no, Roddy Piper, he's great. Roddy Piper's only done 2 movies. He did this, and he did Hell Comes to Frogtown, which he did them both in the same year. I actually like Hell Comes to Frogtown better for Roddy Piper, which for those of you who haven't seen it, it's an apocalypse type scenario, and these humanoid frog creature things have took over the planet, and he plays Sam Hell, and that's why it's Hell Comes to Frogtown. And basically what the premise is, it's a cheesy 80s movie where Sam Hell, Roddy Piper, has his genitals took by the government because he's the last man on earth that can produce children. He wears a chastity belt protecting his junk, and he has to go save Earth women and impregnate them. That is the plot of the movie.
It sounds like your dream job.
See, it's a great movie if you've never seen it. But no, Roddy Piper's great. Like you said, Keith David, dude's been in everything. The last thing I saw him in, he was in like one of the later seasons of Community, that TV show that was on NBC some years ago.
Yeah.
Buck Flowers, one of the greatest like character actors that has ever been. He's been in a million different things. There's so many people in this movie. I mean, even Meg Foster was great. Even though, spoilers, you kind of know what she, and I won't say certain things because Cora hasn't watched it yet, but
no, go ahead. I love knowing what happens in the end before I watch. I do it with books too. I read the last page first sometimes. It's all good.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, you kind of know she's not one of the good guys from the time you meet her, just from the way her dialogue is. So she's not really great at hiding herself. Jeremy, I was telling you, prior to going live, there's a lot of similarities between Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, and this film. With the female sidekick that you ride with the whole time, and you find out at the end she's really one of the bad people, and just kind of the overall take over the world plot and everything. Very similar films, of course, to 80s movies, but yeah, there's a bunch of people you could point out in this movie, but I mean, it's take your pick, man. But I mean, fuck that fight scene. Holy shit, that's great.
I don't think you can really. I mean, we can ruin that. Yeah, obviously she was one of the bad guys, but to Cora. But I'm like, it happens so goddamn fast. You're kind of. I mean, even if you know that and you're ready for it in the movie, it happens so fucking fast, and you're like, oh.
The third act of this movie just clicks off like a train going by. I mean, it's just set up, boom, boom. They rush you to the ending of this movie. Like they don't flesh it out. They just go for it, dude. Oh yeah.
For me, yeah, I can't. I mean, where was that picture at? Like, that's not one of the most like 80s looking like pictures you've ever seen. It's the flannel, the tucked in shirt, the fucking machine gun on his hip, and the classy mullet, as I've now come to call it, because there's several different species of mullet, and I'm like, that right there, that's class. I like that right there. Apparently that picture's labeled "Make My Day, They Live." Okay.
Well, if you want a little backstory about Roddy Piper, basically, okay, he was in WWF wrestling at the time, and this was right at the same time when Hulk Hogan started making movies. He made No Holds Barred, and that was like his first big break into Hollywood. Well, Roddy Piper was fighting for Vince McMahon, of course, defunct now. But he was basically Vince McMahon because he produced No Holds Barred. They spent like $10 million on that movie, like an insane amount of money. And it was garbage. Like, nobody liked it. And Roddy Piper wanted to get into the movies. Well, he had talked to Ted Turner and a few other people, and basically it came down to signing a movie contract with Vince, like Hogan did, or going out and doing this Carpenter film for a third of the money, and it's an all-time classic. So, it's kind of funny how for the ones that don't know, Piper would leave WWF and he ended up with Ted Turner in WCW wrestling. But it's funny how when you look back on time, how the story unfolded. It's fun to go back and see how everything laid out. You know what
And in terms of cast for me, I mean, I'm always a fan of 80s and 90s wrestlers, so I'm not gonna say no. It works. I don't. Oh, what we got next? Oh, plot. Well, I mean, when you got God, okay, Google needs to get out of here because I keep clicking that first. It's gone now. We're fine. Let's go with
Is
this.
that Joe Biden? Oh wait, hang on. I need to take my glasses off. Never mind. Sorry.
No, you take your
37.
that's what you're gonna.
37.
That's what you're gonna see.
37.
Yeah, let's talk about the plot. I mean, from a short story like about kind of the same thing, where this guy, I swear it had something to do with 8 o'clock in the morning. It's something to do with time. It's like over the course of a day or something. But this guy finds out that like the whole world's run by just these other worldly beings. Same concept, just drug out into an hour and a half movie. And I know some people think like, yeah, you got like a 4-page story and now you got an hour and a half movie. But honestly, I mean,
the ending of those two are very different. In the original, the 8 o'clock, the good guys win. Not with this one. So,
I mean, really, he exposed them, and like they still kind of won because they're still there. I mean, we don't really know what happened to them.
Right.
But yeah, it's as we said, it's this guy. Well, his name's never said, but we know him as John Nada. This guy right here, Roddy Piper, as just a drifter going across the country trying to find work. Because I mean, times be hard out here, I guess. Even in the the so-called great years of the Reagan years, I'm like, yeah, it doesn't seem so great. I mean, this is if it was great for you if it worked, I guess. But on the other end of the stick, right. But down on the lower end of the pole here, I mean, he's drifting around with everything he's got on his back. He's got his jacket, like a bedroll, some tools, and that's kind of all he's got. He's a working man. So he's made his way over to, I think this is supposed to be Los Angeles. And he was from Denver. So
Detroit.
No, Frank was from Detroit. He said he had a wife and 2 kids in Detroit, and his his last place of employment was Denver, Colorado, and he said everything just kind of dried up. That's how he meets Keith David's character. I don't really have a whole lot of them. Damn it. Working on the construction site, and he finds out, this guy just kind of hunkers down in this. I think it was a real homeless camp too, is what I heard in this movie. Somewhere on the other side of Los Angeles, and he starts Roddy Piper starting to see some weird stuff, like the guys in the church across the street. You got choir practice going till 4 a.m, and of course the guy plays it off pretty well. Like, hey man, we're feeding a lot of people here. Like, church lets us use their kitchen. So he's kind of like, yeah, sure, dude, sure. And he goes in there and he stumbles across these sunglasses that we've all been talking about, and what they do is kind of wild. So you see the world, how everyone else does, but you start putting these on, you start seeing this instead of the normal posters and billboards you'd usually see in a big city. I know there's a picture somewhere. There it is. That he got of the transition between both. Like he got a picture there, just advertising going to the Caribbean, going on vacation. But really, it's in terms of black and white, it's just a subliminal message. Yeah, marry and reproduce is one of them. Yeah. I think my favorite one is the wad of money, and it says, "This is your God." I'm like, if that ain't the most real thing ever.
Yeah, that one's good. I saw a guy at a Comic-Con that actually printed up like it was like half of $1 bill, and then the other half it was the white with the black words on it. It was pretty cool. He was, I liked it.
I've said I wanted to do that. I want to cosplay as Roddy Piper, and I know I'd have that whatever. You can use that one. I want to do this Roddy Piper and then have her go as one of the aliens, because I think that would be absolutely hilarious.
Shit, you could do that for like $30 at Walmart. Flannel shirt, blue jeans, and walk over to the firearm department and get you a 12 gauge.
12 gauge. And he had a big like 44 or something. Man, he had the big iron on his head. He came in swinging like Marty Robbins. Yeah, and again, and then that kind of pops off, and that's one of the most iconic parts of the film, where he comes in and says, "I've come here to chew bubble gum and kick ass, and I am all out of bubble gum."
all out of bubble gum.
It's like if you've never seen the movie, you've at least seen that clip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And kudos go to Piper for that line. Roddy Piper had a bunch of material written down for stuff that he was going to use for wrestling promos. But obviously, at that point in time, you couldn't say "kick ass," on TV because it was a different era. So John Carpenter kind of combed through them, and he found that one, and it fit. And the line is great, but my favorite is the delivery of the line. He's so deadpan. He's serious. He's not like, I've come here to chew bubblegum and kid. Like, he's not mad.
He just stands in the store like,
yeah, right. He just legit. He's cold as ice, man. The delivery is great. Which of course Piper was famous for his promos. That's what he did best. So.
And because he already had his moment in the. I keep saying story. That was in the bank. When he's in the store, and he's like seeing it. He's seeing like this guy like I have on my shirt like on the TV, and I love that it's almost like a thing like a year or so ago when the government came out and said aliens are real, and we're all just like, okay,
yeah, no shit.
Sure. We're like, okay, him watching this and having seen it, right, and he just kind of laughs and he goes like. It would be something like this. Like he just already knows, like, oh yeah, this is what would be going on. Of course, there's aliens everywhere. So yeah, then he gets in that tussle with those two cops and takes their guns, and then he's just like, yeah, I'm gonna walk into this bank, and then you see, I think that's in the story. Part of it, you see a bunch of them turn around that look like that, and it's like, oh, yeah, there's a lot of them in here.
Well, hey, once again, shout out to Carpenter for predicting future tech. I mean, how many people have them freaking Apple Watches on their arm? Yeah. So, I mean, I think somebody needs to ask Carpenter what the lottery numbers are going to be because he was spot on so many things. But,
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, as soon as they can make us teleport, I mean, that's the dream.
Right.
And I guess really, there's not a whole lot, really. Just don't plot, really. And then it starts to evolve into the guy we were talking about that's at the church, who's kind of the head guy of the homeless camp, and in this church is kind of their front for making these sunglasses that allow them to see the aliens and see the world for what it really is. And they come across him again, and he's got this whole movement of humans that are like, we're gonna try and fight back against these aliens, these oppressors that have us just kind of under our thumbs. And even one of the coolest interactions between Piper and Keith David is when Keith David's sitting there like, maybe they've been here for thousands of years. Maybe they just enjoy it. Maybe they like watching us kill each other and hate each other to death. I'm like, again, that's some deep shit. We're getting into like, what if this was a simulation, or is this just, we're just their playthings? And they just sit back and reap all the rewards of being the rich and powerful that, just sit there with their little marionette strings watching us just dance around our day to day.
Well, that goes back to the great political, political / social commentary that this film gives us. Is it doesn't, it's kind of brilliant the way Carpenter does it. He doesn't pinpoint one thing, he pinpoints everything, which I think leads to why it's such a universal fit for whatever perspective you may be in, whether it's, oh, well, I'm a Democrat, I hate Trump, orange man bad, he's blah, right? Or you can flip it around and Joe Biden blah, grandpa, whatever. The technology that they use in this film, we have something similar of equivalency, these days. The satire works. The consumerism has only gotten worse. I mean, hell, look at like Dawn of the Dead, the original. I mean, George Romero and Carpenter were really hitting that hard. And fuck, we're living it. I mean, we're even, like I said, we're worse than we've ever been. And, obviously consumerism is not necessarily a bad thing. We all need stuff. We can't just go around butt naked, and not have anything. But so many people, whenever I watch this film, I think of like the people that already have like $3,000 worth of technology on them, and then they're like camping out for 3 days waiting for the brand new iPhone to come out when they just got one 6 months ago. Yeah. These are the kind of people that I think about when I watch this movie. And, the ones that are trying to keep up with the Joneses that are never going to get there, rich people don't spend their money. That's how they stay rich. Poor people spend their money to try to keep up with the rich ones, and it's a losing game. You're never going to catch up. So, be happy with what you have. I think is ultimately what this movie is trying to say. But, once again, this movie can be many things to many people. So,
and they do say it at the end. They even take a jab straight, almost a fourth wall break level of kind of looking at you, and they say when they're showing I think it was this guy on the news. Once he I guess to ruin the end of the movie, I mean, they find out that this is being broadcast on top of a TV station with this big satellite dish.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you destroy the dish, you destroy the message and the subliminal stuff being put out. And if you've noticed, a lot of these are in black and white because the cool, again, artistically, like Tex said, this is a great piece of art. It's a cool use of like you see the color when you're seeing like the real world, but then like when you put the glasses on, you see the black and white. But the jarring thing is then when he finally destroys the signal at the end, it all goes back to color, and then you see them as these weird red and blue looking aliens. There's one of my favorite shots is that, like the one in the bar, watching the news, and that's that line I was about to get to. Is it like the guy in the news is saying like, I'm tired of all this violence on TV. Like these filmmakers like George Romero and John Carpenter gotta take a break once in a while. And I'm like,
like a cameo of sorts talking about.
Yeah, it's like at least he can kind of poke fun at himself a little bit, and that's I think that's hilarious. That also is just a jarring asset. Like the thing is, they've all been exposed, so that's kind of why this woman over here on his left is like staring at him like, the fuck. Because then they like the newscasters are of course the aliens too, and as soon as they get exposed, and I just love that line, Gloria, you look like shit. Just some guy in the back of the studio, and she's looking around like, why? What's wrong? Like they don't know what happened just yet. And they're like, what's wrong? Like something on my face? Like what's going on? It's a hilarious way to end the movie, and of course I know Tex is happy. You get a gratuitous topless shot, and kind of a weird cliffhanger, but.
Automatic #* upping for boobs. That's my rules. That's the way
you got it in there in the last like 5 seconds of the movie. Yeah, but
hey, first 5 minutes, last 5 seconds. As long as it's in there, you get credit. That's the rules.
I'm glad Frank decided to text me. He's just now leaving where his job was, so I don't know why his thing was down there and already set up.
Where he was on. I bet Jen was logged in on it.
Yeah. Jen might have done it. She could have come in here. Damn it. What about?
Yeah, we could have her on here.
Yeah, screw it. Try to look at more. I don't have more pictures, but
hey, Jen's fantastic. We had a very short stint of doing a podcast show. She, Gina J, and I. It was good, but we just couldn't get our schedules lined up. She's fantastic to have on a show.
It's illegal to have more than 2 women speaking at once. Like when did that rule change?
Bad touch.
I thought
Bad touch.
I think the year 1984, man. I think that's when that happened.
Well, man,
that's a good
we're gonna have to fix
Don't you live
that.
in a house with 3 women?
Unfortunately, it's bad. It's I keep wanting to send one of them out into the wilderness just for a week or so just to get rid of them, but
that's how nature works. The male lions don't do that. The females are the ones that do the hunting and all the important shit.
Hey, if it means I get peace and quiet, I don't give a shit what they do. It's all good.
If you went out into the woods, they'd all have peace and quiet, and you would too.
Yeah, like you women.
Everybody would be happy. Everybody would be leave.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right. Really, that's kind of the plot of the movie. Like I said, alien overlords and
it doesn't have to have a big plot. That's the beauty of it. When you've got a good idea, you don't have to have a 300-page plot layout to get you from eight. This isn't the Lord of the Rings trilogy here. You know what I mean? Here's the idea. The elite are the bad guys. They're alien human creatures, whatever you want them to be, and we go find out and we beat them. Boom, simple. Not everything has to be, overloaded and whatever. It's like they always say, don't let plot get in the way of a good story. And this is a good story. So,
and it's as poignant as it really can be. I think even John Carpenter said at the end, like when spoiler. I mean, obviously you have your tragic hero. Roddy Piper doesn't make it through to the. I mean, he gets the job done, but unfortunately does not make it through to the end. And he right at the end, he just right to him as he dies. And I'm like, and he was saying, he's like, yeah, that was literally me just throwing a middle finger to Reagan and this whole situation we were in the late 80s. I'm like, yeah, well, I guess it's subtle, but like if you know what it is, But.
Which is so funny because John Carpenter made more money during the Reagan years than he did in any other era that he was working, which I always find hilarious. But it's all good. I mean, we're all entitled to our opinions. It's fine. So.
I'm sure it was good for some.
But there are some that are valued less that are, coming from the state of Texas. But I digress.
You just, I guess the jealousy is radiating, Cora.
That's a pretty good comeback. Touche. That's a good one. Good touch.
All right. Well, I guess I think we need a button, good touch or bad touch. So with that being said, good touch or bad touch. Let's touch this topic of a remake.
That'd be a great shirt. That would be an awesome shirt.
We need like a green button and a red button or something.
Oh my god.
Maybe we could do like a They Live inspired where get like it's like a hologram print where if you you turn it a little bit, it does either or. Yeah. That could be kind of creative.
Or like one's in black and white. If you put hot liquids in it, it's bad touch. If it's cold, it's good touch.
Yeah. Do like one of those mood ring kind of things or something. We'll figure it out. I will let the marketing department know that we need, more merch made for our illustrious $1 million company here. So I'm sure they'll get right on it. So
I have an idea in my head now. I'm gonna hold on to that. While I hold on to that, though, like I said, let's touch this topic, and I know it's a fun one to talk about. We'll probably do this for the next hour. What do you guys think about a remake of this movie? What do you think could work, but doesn't work? No, before you cut me off.
Yeah, I'm going to answer first, fucker.
Because I know hear me. Like I said, when I said earlier, hear me out. I am with Tex. I am immediately like, no. Leave this movie alone because, again, the longer this goes on, again, the more poignant this movie becomes because you're like, again, in the last 40-some years now, it still hasn't changed. And like I said, you can watch this movie today and still be like, oh, yeah. This shit still sucks. However, you know what? I'm putting you in timeout, Tex. I'm gonna say something.
Please go ahead. Go ahead.
I think this movie should stay as it is because again, it works.
Okay.
This movie could be remade, and the point is, it doesn't need to be changed. Now I know it's you never damned if you do, damned if you don't. Everyone's like, oh, it's just the same damn movie. I'm like, if you don't understand that's the point, then you don't get it. It can be the exact same movie. Now you can update it because actually right there in the background between Roddy Piper and Keith David right there, that if I'm pointing at it, watch this magic right here. That thing right there. When you fuck you. When you start to think, when you get the glasses on.
You got him to say a curse word. Good job, Tex.
No.
We need a bingo card. He
forgets I'm an actor. I do the speech, and I know exactly what my speech goes on, even when some little twat in the front row won't shut up. That thing right there. I'm losing my pointer right there.
Yeah, I see it. It looks like a pressure cooker.
Yeah, it kind of does. He looks up at it, and it's like a little security camera, like a. We don't know that then, but now I'm like, that's a drone. I'm like, today, that's a drone. That's a security camera. Or you can you can lean into more of the conspiracy crap and be like, oh, that was a bird when you take it off because birds aren't real if you're into that kind of thing.
Don't tell Casey that because he's got a whole conspiracy about birds being fucking drones. Don't even tell him that shit.
We've hey, what's going on, Rush Chin? I don't know your name, but
Arush Chew.
Arush and Chew.
What's up, dude?
Yeah, been a long time. Well, long time no see because we're hiding behind these. Yeah, no. So look, when you start thinking, okay, what is real? What's he looking at? What is it in the real world as opposed to what he's seeing in the glasses? I'm like, well, what is this little flying saucer thing? I imagine now you could do this with drones. You could do that. You could be a bird. That'd be hilarious. This works in the sense that, like, I mean, it's a big town like San Francisco, where it's a big radio dish on top of a TV station broadcasting this all over, and you assume at least over the city, but it could be all over the whole world, right? Think of the internet now and how far that reaches. You could tie the internet into this really, really quick, and you could have like influencers on different. The irony being, like, people like us who sit here and talk about this, like, you don't know, maybe we're one of them. You know what I mean? Capitalism took a different turn now, like I said, 40 years later. And this movie, I really think could still work, even with something, updated. I'm not done yet. You can't tell me you have a perfect guy who was a former wrestler, who is now an actor and does goofy shit. You can't tell me. Put a pair of these sunglasses on John Cena and give him a shotgun.
Oh God, no!
I don't want to see John Cena either, because I was mad that for some reason when I watched Suicide Squad, I didn't expect him to throw a dart and land on him. Be like, yeah, him. He needs his own series. I'm like, why? But it could work. Now, Keith David's character. You want to bring back a legacy character? Put Keith David as the blind preacher from this movie. The character of Frank, played by Keith David, I would really love to see Terry Crews get into a 6-minute fight with John Cena. It would work. I'm just saying.
I love it.
I'm still, and the only other person I can think of was.
I want a remake of this myself.
And I didn't realize that she's actually, I think, a year older than John Cena. I don't know why I landed for Holly. I landed on Charlize Theron. You could look at her and be like, is she a good guy? Is she a bad guy? I don't really know. I was thinking of like the movie Hancock, where you're like, what's her deal? That's my fan casting.
I'm not saying your idea is bad and it wouldn't work. It probably
but here's why it's bad and it won't work. Dude, I'll go to you next. You tell me what you think about a remake. Go ahead.
I'm going to pull out one of you boys' lines. You never asked the question. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. You know what I'm saying? Like,
gamer, but fair enough.
Okay, well, you jump off to the Jurassic Park things. I don't. I can't keep with all this bullcrap. Either way,
I can't stop it. To be fair,
there are certain. Yeah, we can remake any movie. We can remake any of it. Hell, God knows Hollywood's doing it right now. Anything can be remade.
Hold on. Same brainwaves. Even my mom agrees. Thought of John Cena too. I do agree. Look, I would say this is a movie I would never want remade either. But I'm saying it could, should, it would work, but I wouldn't want it.
Well,
you think Terry Crews web
I would not.
Yeah, probably because he can't see it.
I would not remake this just based on we have similar technology, and here's another wrestler that's an actor. Like, yes, we have these things, but that doesn't dictate this needs to be redone. This film, E.T., Jaws, I think there are certain films that we just need to leave alone. I think they were done as best as they're ever going to be. And I know that this is hypocritical of me saying this whenever I want, a different, I'm ready for a new version of Michael Myers and Halloween already. I'm ready to go on that ride.
You do love the remake. So
I'm not saying I don't love a good remake, but this movie is so politically and social importance I don't think it needs to be redone. I mean, what are you going to do?
What if even John Carpenter came back and because again he's now lived through these last like 40 years since his movie and he's like, oh, it never changed. What if he still got in there and made the
good luck getting John Carpenter away from playing his video games and watching basketball. Good luck with that. Now they couldn't even get. They had to pay John Carpenter millions of dollars to just do the soundtrack for the Blumhouse Halloween films, and the only reason he did that was because he got to work with his grandkid. So 80-something-year-old John Carpenter, I don't think you're getting him back to direct a film. Could you remake it? Sure. It would be really easy with the technological advances. We've only gotten worse with the consumerism. The internet alone would be a huge plot point. There was a movie where Johnny Depp played some sort of computer guy where he ends up getting sucked into it. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah. Transcendence?
Transcendent. You could do something along those vibes or whatever. But I don't think it. I think it would be like the new Roadhouse. It would just be a successor in name only, and it wouldn't pack the same punch. The things that make this movie special are the Carpenters, the Pipers, everything involved. Oh yeah, there you go. I didn't even see that you mentioned Roadhouse.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
It's like, could you? Sure. Should you? I mean, it would be a clear and blatant cash grab if they did. Because
I know, but like again, isn't that the irony? And like Frank keeps saying, I'm like, look, if it worked, we have two great movies. If not, we still have this, and we'll always have this one. Like,
okay,
I would always only want to have this one too. But
I see that viewpoint, but I would argue with, let's say you remake it, and the remake is so bad that it worsens your loving of the original idea, which is very possible and a realistic option. That could happen as well. Like,
I've watched all the Jaws movies, but I still refuse to watch any of them other than the first one. That doesn't lessen that. I love that first movie, but I never watched the rest of them because they're trash.
I wouldn't remake it. I would leave it alone. There would. I don't want to say never because Hollywood might come calling me like, hey, Tex, you want to be a big-time Hollywood director? You can do They Live. I'd be the first one to sign on. I'll be real honest with you. But
see? Just like Buck Flower said, we all sell out at some point. Why not be on the winning side?
Just to quote 80s wrestlers, $1 Million Man, everybody has a price. It's fine. It's all good. But I just don't think they should. I don't think it would be any good. I'm sure some streaming service would love to make a bastardized woke version of this story with, some.
You did it right, because someone won't do it right, I'm sure.
Yeah, but do you trust Hollywood with their political agenda to do this story nowadays?
Somebody wouldn't do it right.
You know what I mean?
If you had the right person to do this, I would be all for it. But
like, if you were to tell me, and I'm not just saying somebody that's far right thinking or something, if you were to promise me and get it in writing with a threat of this person's life on the line, that they're not just going to make some woke idealistic crap, it worries me. Like, I don't think with the ideals that Hollywood, like with Carpenter going after capitalism, no problem. It's a generic, wide open. They're going after elites. You really think they're going to, if they were to remake this today, that every bad guy in the movie would be a straight white male and your hero would be some gay chick, like South Park says, put a chick in it and make her lame and gay. And I guarantee that's what it would be. They would put the racial politics into it, straight white male bad. I gotta feel that's what it would be. That's why it would put me off.
I mean, at least this guy, it's like, yeah, it's rich people who are bad. I'm like, yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's the beauty of this is it's a faceless. I mean, literally, they're aliens. They're not even human. I mean, they could be anything. They're taking the form of people. If they remade this today, identity politics would take it over, and not in a good way like this film. It would be too preachy. They'd beat you over the head with it, and the creativity would be gone. That's my biggest worry.
saying if somebody did it right. Like I said, I agree.
Hey,
I don't want.
I'm not saying it's not
people,
possible. I'm saying it's not likely. That's all I'm saying.
I know. I'm like, I don't want people messing with this movie either. But I'm like, there are a lot of things that could be set up to make it work.
Right.
But I don't trust. I would only trust the right person to be able to handle this and actually make it.
Yeah. I mean, like your mama said,
that's
don't
few and
trust
far
Hollywood.
between.
Hollywood is. They're these weird people that live in their own little bubble, and they're the biggest fakes and liars in the world.
Maybe
they have no personality of their own. They're professional liars. They get paid to be somebody else. Yet they want to preach to us how to live, and they're doing it right, how we're doing it wrong. I'm not going to listen to those.
Like that.
Literally obey.
Again,
exactly.
I know.
That is perfect.
This is why this movie works.
I do not want. I don't
Maybe
think.
This,
well, I don't know. I think it would be
this movie could benefit from, like we said, like we don't need some. Well, to use a gaming term, like a AAA like studio trying to make this. Like it. I mean, what did it say? It was $3 million. Yeah, budget of $3 million.
It was made like $3.5 million or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and you got 13 million out of it. So you could. I mean, you'd have to have someone again who kind of more down to earth understands the being in that struggle. So, and there's a lot of people that now that gap has been pretty well bridged between people that are creatives that make media like this. They make short films. They make stuff like hell. Tex. We were talking about that one with the Jason Voorhees. Like that's just people making, and it looks crisp. There are people like that are this creative that have the tools and abilities to do stuff like this. And I mean, you could make a little short. And it's not like you couldn't take this story and make it, some other short film about reptilian people that are all the people in power. I mean, you can still tell the story.
If you want to go,
if you've been in it, if you want to go blinded by money, you could understand how this story would work.
If you're making it for the love of the passion of the project, like in a fan film, then I'd be on board to watch. I do not want to see a big budget or even a low budget Hollywood film touching this IP, because I know it's just going to be the most preachiest, beat you over the head, identity politics nonsense. You know what I mean? If it was just made by a group of, what's that?
Are they alive or could they be dead? It does say they live and we sleep, so maybe we're the dead ones.
Well, then there's a lot of. If you wanted to play with this in the fan fiction world, there's a lot of ways you could take it that would be creative and worth seeing. And a property like this would make it accessible to that because I mean the effects on this look like it's a 1950s film, which is part of the charm, which is what I like about it. So it will be cheaper to do. But fan film, I'm on board for seeing. But anything out of Hollywood, I want no part of it, and I would be very leery about the ideals that it was preaching. The beauty of this film, it didn't preach any specific ideological stuff. It left it open for your interpretation. So, like we said earlier, whatever generation you're in, it fits the bad guy. So, you got to be smart with it.
So if there's any indie filmmakers or some ambitious person on YouTube who wants to make a fan film,
there may already be, dude. In the wild world of YouTube these days, and the fan film has blown up, there may already be some out there we don't even realize yet. Who knows?
It could be.
Who knows?
Well, now that we've beat that horse over the head, let's scroll down to some trivia here. Okay, well, how does Frank do this? He does pictures, right? Boom, pictures for the kids. Okay, don't let them see that. First one, John Carpenter brought. I thought he said bought. Wow, that got really dark. Okay, let me read that again. John Carpenter brought real, quote, homeless folks into the production for several scenes and smaller characters, and he gave them food as well as paychecks. He's quoted as saying, cool. I thought that it was a pretty classy thing to... Oh, I'm sorry. Roddy Piper was quoted as saying, I thought that was a pretty classy thing to do. I mean, yeah. That's...
Hey, you know what? It takes care of the real people, and, I mean, what better way to be authentic than the unfortunate folks that have to live that every day? I mean, I always hate. That's one of the things that drives me crazy about Hollywood. Did you ever see the biopic of Eileen Wuornos, the female serial killer that they did with Charlize Theron?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, they hire one of the most beautiful women in the world to play one of the uglier ones. I'm sure there was a talented actress that looked more similar to what Eileen Wuornos did, but you had to go get Charlize Theron to put all that money into prosthetics and fatten her up and do this and that. Authenticity in a movie, it shows on screen. So I appreciate it. And hey, he took care of homeless, so God bless him.
Oh yeah. The line, "I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum," as we mentioned earlier, was ad-libbed by Roddy Piper. According to John Carpenter, Piper had previously written the line in his notebook of potential verbal bits during his wrestling career. He shared the notebook with Carpenter, and they agreed that this in particular line fit the character and the film perfectly. And Piper actually went on to use that in a wrestling match. I didn't put a picture up, but whatever. I mean, that... You imagine you're just about to have John Nada come off the top rope and he tells you about kicking ass and chewing bubblegum?
I wish John Carpenter, because Hulk Hogan was acting at this time as well. How cool would it have been to have Hulk Hogan playing the main bad guy in this movie? And we get to see Hulk Hogan as one of the aliens or whatever. And you get Roddy Piper on the other side as a good guy.
He's just like this with a stupid little fucking handlebar mustache on his face.
Yeah, imagine that guy, but with the Hulk Hogan skullet and the handlebar mustache. Yeah. You better obey, brother. What you gonna do when the elite run all over you?
Let me tell you Hulk something Hogan, about the elite.
That's what I'm saying. Even if he played have Hulk Hogan be the news guy or something. It would have been so cool to have him in there as well. That could have been fun. But
him and Macho Man are running the TV station or some shit. Well, speaking of wrestling, the big fight sequence was designed, rehearsed, and choreographed in the backyard of director John Carpenter's production office. That's great. The fight between Nada, Roddy Piper, and Frank, Keith David, was supposed to only last 20 seconds, but Piper and David decided to fight it out for real, only faking the hits to the face and groin. They rehearsed the fight for 3 weeks. This is funny. Carpenter was so impressed he kept the scene intact, which runs 5 minutes, 20 seconds. That's why I just rounded to 6, because why not? You talk about 7 minutes of heaven. That's 6 minutes of just godliness. And
that's 6 minutes of that's 6 minutes of ass beating. That's what that is.
There was a picture of the two of them when they're all bloodied up, and he's trying to get him to put the sunglasses on. But I mean, yeah, because that's been parodied to death and back so many times. Because I don't know, man. It's just if you've seen it, you can still be entertained. But I'm it's kind of a minute you can check out. You can go take a bathroom break because you come back, they're still gonna be fighting each other. You can go pee, or drink, and they'll still be fighting. So
the episode of South Park where Timmy and Jimmy have their cripple fight. They reenact this exact fight on South Park. And it is hilarious.
Family Guy, and I think it may have even been the basis of the stupid shit that Peter and the Giant Chicken get into. It's how long those fights go for a whole episode. When people make fun of me for watching Dragon Ball Z, where two characters will fight for 3 episodes straight. I'm no, you don't understand. First of all, it's different because you don't understand. But when I've seen this movie and I'm yeah, I can sit here and watch these two guys just beat the absolute shit out of each other. And that makes me wonder when he said they only fake the hits to their face and groin. I wonder if that little scene when he tries to Brody tries to punch him right in the dick and he goes "You dirty fucker," and stops him. I wonder if he really just tried to punch him and he's "Whoa there, dude, hold on."
Right. Well, it just goes to show, and obviously I was years ago I was watching a YouTube video about They Live, and a guy had commented on there. He said, "Yeah, actually, the symbolism of how long the fight was is a symbol of, or it stands for how hard and long it takes to fight to wake some people up. And we're like, no, dude, it was just John Carpenter needed to get to 90 minutes. That's all he was going for. I mean, it's not a bad insight. It's a valid argument. It's just not a real one.
It's just like with Pulp Fiction, where we're like, why does Marcellus Wallace have a Band-Aid on the back of his neck? They're like, oh my god, like that's what keeps his soul in. His soul's what's in the briefcase that John Travolta has. And I'm like, he cut himself shaving. He had a. Sure, if you want to make this whole lore about his soul coming out of his body and only being held in by a fucking Band-Aid, I mean, whatever.
Oh my god.
No, I got a feeling
it's a real thing.
I'm sure
a nuclear apocalypse could happen. 100 years can go by. People will still be arguing what's in that freaking suitcase in Pulp Fiction. Like people will still be talking about that. That
I know what was in it.
Oh yeah.
What's that? A little light bulb and a switch. Gotcha. No, I really don't know what's in it. I think it's just left up to interpretation. But for real, it's like a little light bulb. It wasn't anything special.
Of course, yeah.
I know. I tell people that. Like, how do you know, Mike? Because I saw the set picture. It's just a fucking light bulb.
Every time that I go to shoot, whether out in the outside or gun range, I pull my pistol out and I start quoting Bible verses because that's what Sam Jackson does.
Ezekiel 25:17.
Yeah. That's just so cool.
He's like, the path of the righteous man.
It's just one of those. It's one of those things. When you've seen something so many times and it's so cool, you just, it's just like the line in this movie. I've come here to kick ass and chew bubble gum. I'm all out of bubble gum. It's one of those lines.
Well, actually, right there, that's the one I have on mine where it just turns to the security guard and he goes, "Mama don't like tattletales." Goes to shoot.
Okay, that's one question. Speaking of the one-liners, real quick, he goes from being kind of like a stoic guy to a funny one-liner guy, then back to stoic. Does that bother you at all? Like how that? Shouldn't he be a one-liner guy for the entire film? Like that character break right there in the middle.
You don't want to come on. I mean, I know but it's just sound funny, but you don't want to just be like a goofy wrestling character the whole movie. It's like, I mean, he sits down and has that story about how he said like his father took him out to the creek and basically put the fear of God into him by beating him to death. Basically, I'm like, well, and he has that line of like, I ain't daddy's little boy anymore. I'm like, he's got some deep shit. I
don't mind him.
To the character, I like it.
I don't mind him doing the one-liners. It comes out of nowhere and then it just goes away and you never see it again. To me, it's just like instead of doing it for like that 5 minutes of the movie, shouldn't that 5 minutes have been dispersed throughout the whole film? I think it would have been presented a little better for that character, but I don't know. It's just always bothered me a little bit.
Well, let's switch back to this one. John Carpenter wanted a truly rugged individual to play Nada, and as we know, obviously we've said 100 times, he cast the wrestler Roddy Piper in a lead role after seeing him in WrestleMania 3 in 1987. So,
Roddy Piper, man, he's a legend. He's, I have to get my weekly Joe Bob shout out, but if you go to on YouTube on the Joe Bob's Summer School, he showed They Live, which is actually the first time I ever saw this movie. And you get to see Roddy Piper talk about this movie for like 45 minutes. And he gets into all the nitty gritty and stuff. It's really cool. So it's out there.
It's a cool picture. I like this one. Roddy Piper credited John Carpenter and They Live with jumpstarting the wrestler turned actor migration. Quote, I was the first wrestler ever in the history of wrestling to star in a major studio motion picture that became #1 at the box office of the weekend. And that gave the itch to, I don't know how many wrestlers. And not one of them to this day has put out a quality picture like this. Not one of them has made a #1 like this. I mean, like I said, this is a great fucking movie. I don't really...
Let's see. Hulk Hogan was acting at this point, but he never got a #1 movie. Now, Jesse Ventura, did Predator in 87? Isn't that when Predator came out?
I don't know.
late 80s.
Let me look it up for you.
I think it was.
I'll look it up for you.
Look up because that. I mean, now technically,
he is correct, sir.
Nice.
Okay, I thought it was, but now Jesse Ventura didn't star in Predator. That was obviously Schwarzenegger. But I would say that one was. Yeah, I mean, he was right there with Arnold, so one of those works.
All right. Well, because I mean, I kind of agree with him. It's kind of few and far between.
Well,
let's use that one.
Let's see.
Originally scheduled for October 21st, 1988 as the release date, the film was moved to November 4th in order to avoid competition with, hey, get this text, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers in 88. Interestingly, John Carpenter had been
I love that movie.
Carpenter was a producer and co-writer of the first 3 Halloween films and director of the first, but Halloween 4 was the first in the series that was made entirely without his involvement.
They,
quoting the Bible of text right there. I think is what I was doing. I thought preaching to the choir.
John Carpenter he did the music for Halloween 3, and then he didn't come back until 2018 because he wanted to get paid, and the Cods wouldn't give him the money that he wanted. So it is what it is.
Don't we all? There's that. That's a horrifying image. I forgot to mention this because I always forget how ridiculous it is, and it's the most blatantly obvious thing in the fucking world. The communicators that are used by the guards near the end of the movie are also the PKE meters used by the Ghostbusters from 1984 and Suburban Commando. You want to talk about recycling some 80s props? They don't even try to hide it. I'm like, that is straight up the PKE meter from Ghostbusters. Yeah. Like talking into like their mics. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Somebody raided the Ghostbusters.
Hey, you know what? John Carpenter, let's see. This came out after Ghostbusters, so they would have repurposed it from Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
so it was. Yeah, well, that was.
When was the sequel? Ghostbusters 2. I mean, was that closer to 88?
Oh, is it 8? Yeah.
Is that 87 as well?
I think that was 88. Ghostbusters 2.
I hope that's core typing.
I'm pretty sure that was 88.
No, 89. Shit, Ghostbusters 2 is 89, so yeah, that was still from the first movie.
Okay.
Maybe they were throwing it back and forth on set like that was 88, and they're like, well, here, we're going to film this, and here, take it.
Ghostbusters 2 was a garbage movie anyways. To me, Ghostbusters should never have been a franchise. It has one good movie.
Yeah.
Young Cora started a new diary the day I went and saw Ghostbusters 2, and the opening page is in my little girl handwriting. I just got home from seeing Ghostbusters 2, my first movie review. Sometime when I find, I'll take a picture of it, send it on Twitter.
Holy
my
crap.
very first movie review in writing. Yeah,
that's Throwback Thursday material right there.
That's we're going in the Wayback Machine, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not. I stand on my words, no matter how much I offend Young Cora. But there's been one good Ghostbuster movie. They should have stopped after that. But what do you got
there? Oh boy. Excuse me. The sunglasses called Hoffman lenses are named after Albert Hoffman, the creator of LSD. That is actually a hilarious point that I almost said earlier. I'm like, did you ever, and just hear me out, whatever you feel about it, did you ever think maybe the reason that hard drugs are illegal is because that's what the world really looks like and they don't want you to see that? No, seriously. You ever thought when someone's tripping on LSD, you're like, is that the real world they're seeing? That'll mess with your head, man. You don't want a bad trip.
I'm pretty sure back in my wilder days, that's what my drug dealer used to tell me. I'd be like, hey, this is why the man wants to keep
hey, man,
you
want to see some crazy shit?
Like, I don't know whether
that big bearded guy at the door is like, hey, brother, there's something new going on. And Texas is just like,
right.
What?
Yeah, like, are you now becoming Joe Rogan and you're about to pitch me on DMT and the benefits of it? Like, is this what you're coming for here? So
I don't. You might really start seeing the world like this if you start,
Hey, I'm not saying.
Maybe hold on, YouTube. Maybe I should say this as a disclaimer. We did not condone using drugs. I'm not saying you're going to see the real world, so don't shut me down, please.
We're only recommending the drugs that your doctor, prescribes to you. YouTube. So
yeah, medical LSD. I'm sure that's a thing.
Yeah, just go see your doctor down on the street corner. He's a guy wearing the black coat in the middle of summertime. He's not doing it for any other reason besides that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the umbrella man. Let's see. Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin. Yikes. Michael Biehn. Brian Bosworth. Jeff Bridges. Bruce Campbell. Tom Cruise. Harrison Ford. Mel Gibson. Tommy Lee Jones. Michael Keaton. Christopher Lambert. Stephen Lang. Dolph Lundgren. Michael Madsen. Bill Paxton. Ron Perlman. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Sylvester Stallone. Patrick Swayze. Jean-Claude Van Damme. And Bruce Willis were all considered to play Nada.
Jesus.
I am not gonna read that again, but I don't know, man.
Just say every male actor in the '80s was considered. It's quicker.
Well, Keaton's out because he was doing Batman, so that wouldn't have.
Right, he was,
Dolph Lundgren. I mean, I don't know what Rocky 76 they were on probably at that point. So I don't know when the fuck.
Well, I mean,
no.
it's
Ron
not
Perlman,
that
I can maybe see it.
there's let's be fair. Everybody you listed on all of the names that you said are better actors than Roddy Piper. I mean, Piper only did 2 movies.
The charm. That's what I'm saying.
That's the thing. If you had put Schwarzenegger in this would have been just another Schwarzenegger movie, or Tom Cruise, or whoever.
Or Sly Stallone.
The fact that this, right. The fact that this was Roddy Piper, this is part of what, like I said, when we were talking about remakes, what makes this so special is he brought his charm to it. The guy's called John Nada. He's nothing. He's nobody. So if you had a huge actor playing it, it wouldn't have fit the same. But I think Carpenter went with the right person. And considering the price of the film, he probably couldn't afford most of those guys either. But
and I don't think it's on the trivia, but that's if you've been listening, we keep calling him John Nada, which is what he's credited as in the credits. But throughout the entire movie,
nobody says his name.
Never once.
They never
what it is. Nothing. So
he's Nada.
He's supposed to be a blank slate everyman for this story.
Yeah, he was.
It works.
Yeah.
Let's get off that big list. Okay. Roddy Piper regretted his performance in the final scene of giving the finger to the bad guys and thinks this should have been straight and strong instead of a weak and slightly bent. Hey man, it happens to the best of us. Okay, it's don't worry about it. You still performed and you gave a good ending. You got to the finish line. That's what matters.
I firmly believe in exercising your Second Amendment and your traffic finger rights. So you need to use that daily.
But you did both in that scene, yeah.
So, that's what I'm saying. He was a good American in this film because he told them he both gave them the what for and showed them the what for. So I approve of that use of the traffic finger. So.
I think I kind of get it. I'm like, yeah, he shoots out the transmitter and then he gets shot to shit by the helicopter and then just kind of falls over and as he's dying, I'm like you can see him kind of holding up with his other hand I'm like, you get the point. It may have been a little too goofy if he just straight up, like that.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. It would have worked, but
it was done properly. It's kind of like how Captain Spaulding gives those guys a finger in House of a Thousand Corpses when they break in and hands up. He just goes up with it.
I hate to interrupt you guys, but my dog's going insane. I gotta go, or she's gonna destroy my house.
Right. Okay.
We only got one left.
Hopefully you get a Jurassic Park, contained again, and you don't have an outbreak.
Right, bye, gentlemen. It was fun. I'll see you Thursday.
All right.
See ya. She gone.
Well, she gone. Well, that's kind of fine. We only got one left. The last one being when Frank, played by Keith David, angrily asks Nada how many people he had killed. Nada replies that they weren't people. The only human character killed by Nada is actually Holly.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah. I think that is the only actual human he killed.
Well, I mean, there's so much that we don't know about this Nada character. That's what makes it special. Which I feel like, if once again, to kind of touch back on the remake thing, if they did a remake, they'd go deep into the lore of Nada and why he had to leave his family, and they would answer so many questions that it would ruin the mystique of it, And I don't know.
Well, I mean, like we were
The
just
less
talking
we know,
about
the better.
Roadhouse. I'm like, he just kind of comes in and then leaves. I'm
Yeah.
like, I like that. There's just a mystery to this guy that you don't need to know a whole lot. You just need, again, you're every man to come in there looking like that with a shotgun and just shoot some aliens in the face. So.
Not gonna lie, they could have stole something from Roadhouse and have John Nada rip out one of the aliens' throats like they do in Roadhouse. That could have been cool.
Well, one of the people on that list I did mention was Patrick Swayze. That would have been kind of funny.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe they could have.
Out.
Right, as he's he's got the shotgun in one hand, he's shooting with the pistol, and the pistol goes out, and he grabs one by the throat and rips it out. That could have been fun. I'd have been down for that.
It would have been pretty funny if one runs at him, he does a dirty dancing, just whoop, just throws it over his head. One goes to run at him or some dumb shit. And just turns away, he's like, "Have the time of your life, bitch!" Boom, shoots. I don't know. Okay. I'm making Patrick Swayze now.
Just put in all of them. Just put in all the references. That'd be great. I'm down. I'm here for it.
Yeah, that's the end of the trivia. So, I guess I think we've waxed off, waxed on this whole movie. It's a good one that doesn't need to be remade, I guess is what we kind of came to. Is that's your final thoughts on it, really? Or anything else to add?
Yeah, awesome 80s flick. If you haven't seen it, watch it, please. It's a fun time. The social and political commentary is on point even today. I mean, this one, we could open up a bigger discussion about Carpenter's best films and whatever, which we might be interested to do one day. But I'd say this one's pretty up there for me. So I dig it. I like it.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, it's a favorite movie of mine. I mean, I know. Oh my God, I said I like a movie from the '80s. Like, cancel me now because all this time I've been saying how much I love the '90s. I'm like, no, I'm just defending it. That's all I'm doing.
Frank is driving home waxing his carrot hearing you talk about preaching 1180 shit.
I know he is.
By the way, so he's just recording all.
Well, remember they ruined your wet dream. They ruined Red Dawn by remaking it. So wax on that, man.
Yeah, they put Thor in Red Dawn and it just didn't work.
Yeah,
no thank you.
I didn't.
So.
That's one where I said, I'm like, you could do this right and you didn't. Like, you updated it, like, again with better guns, like with North Koreans. I'm like, okay, you're making sense, but you even had Negan. You had Jeffrey Dean Morgan in this fucking movie, and you still fucked it up. Like, I was excited as hell to see his character. He plays the.
How do you have Thor and Negan? Right. You have Thor and Negan, and you still do a crap job. Like, what's going on?
I'm like, he was the best part of the movie. I'm like, Negan is like this just wisecracking Marine that they find. I'm like, yeah. And you messed it up. Anyway. Yeah, like I said, I could watch it. I mean, I watched it again yesterday, and I'm like, I probably watched it maybe 2 weeks ago. I'm like, I don't mind watching it again, and if that's an afternoon I spend watching it, I mean, that's an afternoon well spent. And I don't know what you're doing here at this point if you haven't seen it, but go watch this movie. I
don't rewatch this one very often. Whenever I rewatch this one for this, review purposes, it's been a couple years since I had seen it. Like, I mean, of course, I could have done it just by memory, but of course I wanted to, be fresh or whatever. But it was. This is not one that I revisit very often, surprisingly enough. But I always love it when I see it. So
yeah. All right. Well, I think text. Jesus, I need to go to sleep. I think Frank is still, like you said, probably on his. He's gonna pop in here right at the end, but that's gonna about do it for the two of us. So
we're all good.
Giving our thoughts of that movie. Tex, what have you got going on the internet before we say?
Absolutely. Since Cora's not here, I'll borrow her line. I'm allergic to the internet, so I'll be here on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So.
See, I knew it. That isn't really Tex. We've all been fooled this whole review.
Just take those glasses off, baby. It's all good.
Shit. Or maybe it's like, damn, I'm starting to get a headache. I'm gonna take these off. Yeah, as for me, there's my name. If you know how the internet works, go looking, but you're not gonna find anything. So, but
as he says, a terrible content creator. Fans.
I'm a terrible content creator, and I am to this day gonna keep saying that, even if I make content. It'll be funny when I'm making like Markiplier amounts of money, and I'll still be like, yeah, I'm pretty bad, but.
If you do ever blow up as a YouTube star, you need to stick with that I'm a bad content creator line. That'll be your whatever.
That'll be merch. I know. That'll be the line.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I did want to point out. I was on Twitter last night and I had seen that Comic Storian, one of the other big, huge YouTubers, had passed away just surprisingly out of nowhere. I don't know how he passed. Yeah, but that dude was so cool. I loved his YouTube channel. So many, I love comic books, and often I don't have times to either read them or money to buy them. So the YouTube channel is a way to enjoy that. Thus with his family and friends and all of them over there. So shout out to Comic Storian. So we lost one.
Rest in peace to a fellow creator. I mean, you never want to.
Hell yeah. Hell of a dude.
The only thing I was going to say is I've been really getting nostalgic about an old game I used to play made by Rockstar called Bully. It's basically GTA in a high school. I don't know why, but I'm like, man, I really want to play that game again. And if no one's ever seen that game, you want to watch my stupid ass. I mean, I've still got the reflexes of I've played that game so much. I'm like, I'll breeze through that in a few hours.
Get that muscle memory going.
Yeah, because I've done that game inside and out so many times, but it's a fun game. Honestly, so I don't know. Maybe I'll start doing that if I just need to hook stuff into other stuff and hit play, and I'm too damn lazy.
Give yourself a little bit of credit. It's not like you've just been moving into a new house trying to get married. It's not like you're doing anything in life.
Oh no, it's like it's a busy year. Maybe I should have. I need the money. Anyway, like I said, go watch this movie wherever it's at, or it's worth buying. So that's gonna do it for us. We're gonna be back here again Tuesday, Thursdays. We'll be here Thursday doing God knows what, with or without Frank.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
Hopefully Frank's here. I promise you, Frank is alive. We don't have him tied up in a basement somewhere or anything. So.
Maybe the lore of this channel is getting really deep. We'll see y'all next time on Thursday.
Obey.
Maybe we'll just take our glasses off and Frank will just be there all mangled and weird looking. I don't know.
Frank's been here he was here the whole time. Oh my.
Paul's coming from inside the house.